Sarah Chen thought she'd hit the jackpot with her new night security job at the dying Westfield Shopping Mall. $12 an hour to walk around an empty mall for 8 hours? Easy money while she finished college. The mall had been struggling for years. Half the stores were vacant, their metal gates pulled down over dark windows. Only a few anchor stores remained, a dying department store, a GameStop, and a 24-hour pharmacy that somehow kept the lights on. Her supervisor, Rick, was a grizzled man in his 60s who'd worked security for decades. On Sarah's first night, he walked her through the routine. "Simple job," Rick said, his key ring jangling as they walked past empty storefronts. "Make rounds every hour, check the doors, log anything unusual. Most nights, nothing happens, but—" He paused at the old Spencer's gift shop, its windows papered over. "There are some rules you need to follow." Sarah pulled out her phone to take notes, but Rick shook his head. "No writing, just listen. First rule, never go into the old department store after 2 a.m. The doors should be locked anyway, but if you find them open, just walk away. Second, if you hear music playing from any of the closed stores, don't investigate. Log it and move on. Third, if you see anyone in the mall who isn't supposed to be here, don't approach them alone. Call backup first." "What kind of people would be here illegally?" Sarah asked. Rick's expression darkened. "That's the thing. Sometimes they're not people." 23 years I've worked mall security," Rick said seriously. "Westfield, Eastgate, North Shore, they all have their quirks, but this place—" He gestured around them. "This place holds on to things, people, memories, sometimes worse." The first week went smoothly. Sarah fell into the rhythm. Patrol, check doors, sit in the security office watching old movies on her laptop. Repeat. The mall at night was actually peaceful. Her footsteps echoed in the wide corridors, and the few remaining neon signs cast colorful shadows on the tile floors. But on her 8th night, things started getting weird. Sarah was making her 2 a.m. round when she heard it, faint music drifting from the direction of the old Radio Shack. She followed Rick's rule and kept walking, but she could swear it sounded like Everybody, Backstreet's Back, playing on repeat. At 3 a.m., she found the department store doors standing wide open. Sarah stared at the dark entrance, remembering Rick's warning. The store had been closed for 3 years, and she'd checked those doors personally. They'd been locked tight. Now they hung open like a mouth, revealing nothing but darkness beyond. She should have walked away, should have followed the rules. But Sarah had always been curious, and $12 an hour didn't buy blind obedience. She stepped inside. The department store was a graveyard of retail. Empty clothing racks stood like skeletons, and mannequins lay dismembered in corners. Sarah's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating sale signs that still promised 50% off everything. That's when she heard the voices. They were coming from the back of the store, near what used to be the customer service counter. Multiple voices talking over each other, but too distant to make out words. Sarah crept closer, her flashlight revealing more details. Shopping carts abandoned mid-aisle, purses scattered on the floor, even a child's shoe lying by itself near the jewelry counter. As she approached the voices, Sarah realized they weren't having a conversation. They were all saying the same thing, over and over. "Excuse me, where's the manager? I'd like to return this. The receipt says I have 30 days. Sarah's blood ran cold. She knew that voice. It was Mrs. Patterson, an elderly woman who died in this very store during a Black Friday stampede 5 years ago. The incident had made national news and was part of the reason the store eventually closed. She spun around to leave, but the entrance she'd come through was gone. In its place stood a solid wall covered in clearance banners. "Excuse me, miss." The voice came from directly behind her. Sarah turned to see Mrs. Patterson standing there, exactly as she'd looked in the news photos. Gray hair, floral dress, clutching a crumpled receipt, and a sweater that looked decades old. "I'd like to return this," Mrs. Patterson said with a pleasant smile. "I've been waiting in line for my turn." That's when Sarah noticed them. Dozens of people standing in neat lines that led to the abandoned customer service counter. All of them holding items, all of them clutching receipts, all of them staring at Sarah with the same patient, expectant expression. I don't work here," Sarah stammered. "Oh, but you do," said a man in a 1980s tracksuit. "You're the night manager. We've been waiting for you." The crowd began moving toward her, not threatening, just approaching, like customers eager for help. Sarah backed away, her flashlight illuminating more faces in the crowd. She recognized some from old newspaper articles, people who'd died in the mall over the years, a teenager who'd fallen from the second-floor railing, a maintenance worker who'd had a heart attack, even a security guard from the 1990s. "We all have returns," Mrs. Patterson explained kindly, "but we can't leave until someone processes them. Store policy." Sarah ran. She pushed through the crowd of ghostly shoppers, ignoring their polite protests, and headed for where the entrance should be. Her flashlight revealed nothing but more racks and more people, all holding items they wanted to return. Then she saw it, an emergency exit sign glowing red in the distance. Sarah sprinted toward it, the voices behind her growing louder. Miss, we've been waiting." "I have a receipt." "The 30-day return policy." Sarah slammed into the emergency exit door, expecting alarms to blare. Instead, she tumbled out into the main mall corridor, gasping and shaking. When she looked back, the department store doors were closed and locked, just as they should be. Sarah sat in the security office for the rest of her shift, staring at the monitors. On camera 7, which covered the department store entrance, she could see shadows moving behind the glass doors. Lots of shadows, all standing in orderly lines. When Rick arrived for the morning shift change, he took one look at Sarah's pale face and nodded knowingly. "You went into the department store, didn't you?" Sarah could only nod. "They get one new person every few months," Rick explained. "The ones who died here, they can't leave. They're stuck in their last moments, trying to complete whatever brought them to the mall. Mrs. Patterson was returning a Christmas gift when the stampede happened. The others, well, they all had unfinished business." "Why didn't you tell me?" Sarah asked. Rick shrugged. "Would you have believed me? Besides, they're harmless. They just want to return their items and move on. Problem is, there's no one to process the returns." But as Sarah gathered her things to leave, she couldn't shake the image of all those people standing in line, clutching their receipts, waiting patiently for someone to help them. 2 weeks later, Sarah quit the job. But sometimes, late at night, she still wonders about Mrs. Patterson and the others. Are they still there, standing in those endless lines? Still waiting for a manager who will never come? The mall closed permanently 6 months after Sarah quit. But according to the demolition crew, they found something strange when they finally tore down the old department store. Scattered throughout the rubble were hundreds of receipts, all dated from different decades, all for items that were never returned. Customer service, it seems, never truly ends.